Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for coming out to tonight's Fireside Chat. I'm Carissa Winters. I'm the community lead for Innovation Collective here in Victoria. And I am so excited that all of you have chosen to come listen to Tammy and David Murphy. They're amazing members of our community. And we also had the Story Summit. For those of you that came, thank you. For those of you that didn't, would love to see you next time. We bring people into our community who are innovative and amazing, and we learn so much through that. And so that's something that we do every 3 months that you guys can partake in. And we also have our Coffee and Concepts. That's going to be the first and third Wednesday of every month. And the Fireside Chats like this will always fall on the second Tuesday. We also have our Pathways Explore Book Club, where we read a book. We learn a lot of cool things with amazing people. We have the Grade 8, where we work on all of the core basics of ourselves, and we also learn from each other and grow and learn about business and creating business. And then we have IC Studio, and that's an online platform where we get together and we actually work through a product we're making and ideas, and we get to have a show and tell at the end. We're also involved in the community, the University of Houston, Victoria College, the schools, so keep an eye out for all of those things that will be coming up that we'll be doing. And Innovation Collective, just so all of you know, it's not just a place for entrepreneurs, it's a place for everyone in the community. Whether you're building something, working on something, or you just want to come together, this is a place for everybody to come together and to get to know each other and make amazing things together. And if you don't want to create, then just be there, and I guarantee you will get benefit out of this. So I would love to start off this Fireside Chat this time with a special guest that we have. Can you please come up here? I'm going to let him introduce himself. So this young gentleman I met the other day at West High School, and he had the initiative to come here in front of all of you tonight and introduce himself, tell you a little bit about himself as well as what he's working on. So make sure after this to connect with him, and if there's any mentors out there, also connect with him because he is awesome that he did this.
My name's Seth Nybrandt, and I'm a junior at West High School. I have a passion for weightlifting and nutrition. I'm on the powerlifting team, and this past season, I went to state at 16 years old. Thank you. I went in expecting to place 9th, and I ended up placing 7th. And a big part of that success is due to me researching the right nutrition for me and the right workouts for me. And in doing that, it sparked an interest in starting up my own supplement company. So that is what I'm starting to work on now, and that's why I'm here tonight.
Thank you so much. So everybody, after this, connect with him, exchange information, and let's help him out. And so next, I would love to call to the stage two very amazing people in our community that really represent what lifting up a community and supporting one another and cheering people on is all about. So it is my pleasure to introduce Tammy and David Murphy. So welcome. You all are probably thinking what I'm thinking. I need to know what the secret sauce is, how you guys are doing what you're doing, and your story, and just everything in between, because I have so much respect personally for you two, and I'm always watching how you're smiling and giving back and just working hard, but it's what you love to do, so you never make it look hard. It's this effortless look, but I know it is hard work, so thank you for that and all you do for our community. So I would like to start off with just asking you guys, how did you two meet?
You want to go or you want me to?
Yes, it's on.
Okay. Ironically, David and I met at Howell Middle School, 7th grade, Coach Lawrence's history class, right here in Victoria. You want to tell the
Sure.
fun?
So we were friends through middle school, and we got to high school our freshman year, and I was a shy guy. I know a lot of people don't necessarily believe that, but I totally am. This takes me out of my comfort zone a whole lot. And our freshman year, a mutual friend told me that I needed to ask her to homecoming, Tammy, to homecoming, or she would ask her for me. So I got up the nerve to call her and ask her to homecoming, and she accepted my offer, and we went. It was 3 little nerdy freshman couples that my best friend's grandfather drove to Colony Creek. Where's Robbie at? We had dinner there, and then on to Victoria High School for homecoming, and then Tammy was the first one to get dropped off that night, and I walked her to her front door, and she immediately took the gum out of her mouth and threw it in the grass. And
I was very nervous that I was fixing to get kissed, just very scared.
And so I got very nervous because she wanted a kiss, and so I just said, "See you Monday," and ran away.
Well, you're still seeing her on Monday, so every Monday.
Every
Worked
Monday.
out.
Definitely worked out. And I guess we were just friends all through high school. And our senior year in high school, he still was very shy and very quiet. And I asked him to prom. And that's when we started dating.
I kissed her that night.
Yeah.
All right. That's amazing. I love your story. And so I'm curious, working as a couple, what does that look like? And can you give any tips or tricks?
Wow.
Most days it's great. I guess one of the perks I get to sleep with the boss. But
I hope you're getting lots of raises.
I knew that would get him. No, it really, I think we are, as we still haven't. Sorry. No, you thought you were hot. No, in all seriousness, I think it's a great, not everybody can work together. We definitely have our ups and downs, but I think we are both so passionate about what we do. We have different interests in the business. We're both so passionate about our community and our team. My real passion is more marketing for our business, and David's obviously is the numbers and the operations, and I can let you, if you want to elaborate on that. But I think we need each other. It just makes it work.
And
I
even
love
aside from our professional interest with you marketing and me the other stuff, that we have our own personality strengths and weaknesses, I think, that complement each other. So where I'm more likely to settle on something and accept something, Tammy absolutely is not. She's more determined and driven to have it be exactly right or get exactly what we need to get the job done.
Well, and I love how you pointed out that you guys work in the same business, obviously, but you both play really important roles in different areas. And then you also pointed out how she picks up where kind of isn't your area of expertise, and then vice versa. And I think that's important because, too, you're both doing very different things. So when you go home at night, you can have conversations. It's not doing the same thing, and it is interesting. So do you take your work home a lot? Yes, I figured.
There's never a time that ChickfilA isn't on our minds or in our house or in front of us or whatever. It's constant, but it's something we love. So it's not like it's not like it takes away from our life to have business there all the time.
Oh, and I totally understand that. When I was doing all the Catacorn book stuff with our daughter, we had a Catacorn mascot head over here, books over here, and so you're living the Catacorn life. So now it's the Innovation Collective life. So if you love it, though, and you're passionate, then it's okay. And that's why it's important you love what you do, right? Yep, so will both of you tell me about where did you grow up and what were your families like?
Born and raised here in Victoria. Like I said, we went to school here, went to Victoria High School, and then went to Victoria College and University of Houston, Victoria. Family-wise, I have a younger brother who actually is the chef at the Pump House. So it's nice to have all of us back in Victoria after we've traveled and done different things. But my dad worked in the oil field, blue-collar worker. When the oil field's great, as you know, it's great. When the oil field is not so great, it's really bad sometimes. And my mom, very hardworking, worked at the bank and eventually became a ChickfilA operator after I had already been working at ChickfilA. That's a whole nother story, but we can share that later. But I think her drive and her passion for what she did for the community, just her giving and caring heart, I think is what really inspired me along the way.
I love that. And for you?
I was born and mostly raised in Victoria. I have an older sister. My dad was a blue-collar, hardworking guy that climbed electric poles for CP&L. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. She was creative and had an entrepreneurial drive, but I think she was somewhat restricted because my father was a very traditionalist man who believed that the wife was the one that took care of the home, took care of the kids, had dinner on the table when he got home from work and that sort of thing. So she was a stay-at-home mom. We moved away from here before I started kindergarten to Uvalde, Texas, where my father got a promotion to line foreman. We were there a few years. Then we moved to Sheridan, Texas, if anybody knows where Splashway is. My mom was born and raised in Sheridan, and we lived there for a few years, so 4th grade through 6th grade, and then came back here just in time to meet Tammy in 7th grade.
Awesome. And so I know you mentioned going to college. Did you go to college, and where did you go, and would you do it again?
So Victoria College and UHV.
All right, alumni.
Yeah, we both graduated in 1990, started at VC, and that was the only pathway if you wanted to stay in Victoria. Well, backing up, actually, so my original intention was to be a nuclear physicist, believe it or not. And
he's very smart. He could have definitely pulled that one.
I wanted to go to University of Texas, and then when Tammy and I started dating, I think we both mutually agreed to stay local, which wasn't, settling, I don't think. It's just a choice we made. Again, the pathway then was 2 years VC, 2 years UHV. And so I decided I would study accounting because I love numbers. And within the first semester, I screwed up on course selection and didn't go in the right order because the courses were very limited when they were offered. And so I ended up having to change my major because I would have either had to double up on accounting classes or go an extra year of college. None of that sounded good. So I became a business administration management major, which I think turned out okay. So
I think it did. I would agree with that.
Yes. Same. My original plan was actually to go to Berry College in Rome, Georgia. ChickfilA does a full ride scholarship for selected students, and that was my original plan. And then again, like David said, it seemed really nice to stay home and be closer to him. In the meantime, I had, I guess, a sophomore in college, VC opened up Ice Cream Depot in the mall. And I guess once I got to UHV, I was definitely marketing driven. That was my passion. Was going to major in business with a concentration in marketing. Took every marketing class I could. At that point, like David said, UHV was so small. We had one marketing professor. And at the very end, I had one class left and the professor moved. So I ended up having to transition into business management, which again was fine, but it's so nice to have UHV being such a larger university and all the courses and degree plans that they're offering now. It's very nice.
So I'm going to back up just a second because she only glossed over it briefly. But at 20 years old, my girlfriend, kind of fiance, decided to open her own business, secure her own funding, complete entrepreneurial step forward, and she opened up the Ice Cream Depot in Victoria Mall. If any of you remember, the carousel was there and it was on the corner of the food court, and she became the largest retailer of hand-dipped Bluebell ice cream in the entire country.
Woo! That's amazing. And so what would you consider your greatest accomplishment, both of you, in your professional lives?
As a young professional person, I guess that definitely would have to be, I was a little over 5 foot tall, didn't weigh 100 pounds, female, you name it, all the things that somebody said, oh, she can't do this. And that just, I think, was a definite force to drive me to succeed even more. So, and I think we're,
yeah. For me, I know you had mentioned also about when things didn't go right in your professional career, and so mine is actually both in one. After college, Tammy had Ice Cream Depot. I actually was fortunate enough to get to work for the Lacs as their corporate sales trainer for a few years, but learned a lot, grew a lot, but Chick-fil-A was still kind of in my heart and part of who I was. And I got an opportunity to leave Victoria and operate a Chick-fil-A in San Antonio at Rolling Oaks Mall, and did that for a few years and grew the business and built a great team, and then got an opportunity to open a new freestanding restaurant in 2001 at Blanco Road and Loop 1604. And Chick-fil-A does their best to predict what the business will be like for the first full year and the next 5 years out, so you can kind of predict your income and your lifestyle based on that. And they predicted the sales to be X volume in year one. Well, we opened up in year one, we did less than half of what they predicted it would. Just suffered from low visibility and low awareness in that area. And so we struggled a lot. We took our kids out of daycare because we couldn't afford daycare anymore. We canceled cable TV. We ate Chick-fil-A for pretty much every meal. The kids spent so much time at Chick-fil-A because we worked a position every day because it was cheaper than paying somebody else to do it. And there came a moment that was pivotal for me to say, is this what I want to keep doing? And we had a lot of heart-to-heart talks, and I wanted to call it quits, but I think we just realized that it was our dream, and we stuck with it, and we decided to be innovative and just change the way we did things and really create a business that became a foundational part of the community and really endeared itself to that area we were in. And before you knew it, sales started growing, and we started having double-digit sales growth, and we won Chick-fil-A's top sales award 3 years in a row from 03, 04, and 05. We won 2 brand new Ford vehicles in doing that. And so, what was one of those things that didn't turn out like I hoped, nothing at all like I hoped, turned out to be the best decision by sticking with it.
And I want to add, we felt like we knew what we were doing. We had so much Chick-fil-A experience, a lot of business experience, ran a very successful business with Chick-fil-A in the mall. But everything that happened was nothing of our fault. It was the road closure in front of us, the construction, the Target across the street hadn't opened. There were just so many things, but it's still, you internalize it and wonder, what on earth did I do? What did we deserve? Or what did we do to deserve this mess that we were in? But I think that's one of those things where I'm so thankful that I was working with my best friend. We pulled together lots of prayers, lots of tears, lots of times when our precious children lived in our Chick-fil-A playground. But I think, sorry, y'all know I'm a crier.
Where's your Kleenex?
It's right here. I got him. Chick-fil-A branded, by the way, marketing. Thank you.
That marketing skills you got.
That's right.
The best.
That's right. But I think what we learned from that and took away from it, it was very humbling and very scary at the time, but I think it made us appreciate what we've got now and know that we need to share everything that we have.
And what I just took away from that is that you were challenged with so much adversity, and that you kept going, but also I really like how you touched on the point that it wasn't anything that you were doing. You guys were trying everything that you could at the time, but sometimes it's forces beyond the road closure. They change something with the people move out of the city, or all kinds of factors going on. And so I think that's really important as an entrepreneur or owning a business of any kind, even being an entrepreneur when you're managing that business, to understand that it's not always you not trying your hardest. It's sometimes things are out of your control. And then I also like to touch on your point of, you could have given up and you just kept going. And sometimes you have those pivotal moments where you could take a turn and you decided to dive into it and make a new plan. And I love how you guys both worked together and took all your skills and knowledge and combined them all into one to make it successful. So that's really something special. And that's working as a couple. What's so amazing is you work with your best friend, but you also both do have different brains and they operate differently, and that's so beneficial. I mean, that's what I keep hearing you guys saying, is you have 2 for 1, right? It's amazing. Yeah, really cool. So what would you guys both consider your greatest accomplishment outside of work in your personal life?
Ooh, I want to go first.
I'm scared.
So, anyway, she's going to kill me. Seriously, it was one night late in high school, our senior year, me and my buddy Daryl Schrader went to Stephanie Hanselka's house where Tammy was, and there were some other people there. I don't know if you'd call it a party or not. I didn't do parties, but we just were hanging out and talking, and Daryl put his Texas A&M cap on your head, and I immediately took it off and put my UT cap on her head, and at the same time gave her that kiss that was so long overdue from 4 years prior. And I think about legitimately that moment in time, had I not done that, would we have gotten together? And had she not done the things she had leading up to her Chick-fil-A job, we wouldn't be where we are today. And I know that life is just a series of experiences and events that get you to where you are, but it's just so hard to imagine life not like it is right now.
For you, that's amazing.
For me, I would have to say my family. I think David and I working together, giving that foundation of morals and character to our children, our Chick-fil-A family. I know it's personal too, even though it's professional. That is definitely personal. So proud of them, and could not do it without the amazing team we have. But I think maybe one example would be our daughter. She just graduated almost a year early from Texas Tech. Marina, who's out there, she had a little bit of a career degree plan change, I guess, midway through, and decided to get her degree in, help me here, clinical mental health counseling. And her reasoning behind that was because she sees how David and I care for our team and our community, and she wants to be that person to make sure that others have a voice and that are cared for. I think we kind of did something right on that one.
Well, that's true legacy, right? When you give your heart and your time and your mind to people. And I love that your child picked up on that, because as parents, that's really what we want, is we want to pass that part of ourselves. And the fact that she's wanting to do it for others because she saw that modeled by you guys, that's truly something, right? That's as a parent, I feel like the one thing we really want, I always say good grades are great, and I always want them to strive for that. But when I hear they're kind and compassionate and caring, that's really the goal, is that you're creating great humans to also help other humans flourish. And that's what it's all about. And then so I'm curious with both of you, your journey to get your first Chick-fil-A and what that looked like and how you've expanded, because I know the big news, they've actually got another location, if you want to talk a little bit about that. So we all need a round of applause for that, because that's amazing. I know if all of you are like me, which I'm guessing you are, you can find my new office at the Chick-fil-A. I will be there all the time. I'm very excited. I've been driving by the space. I'm like, soon, I will be there. So if you could tell me a little bit about getting your first Chick-fil-A and your journey to now.
So for folks that aren't familiar with how the Chick-fil-A franchise works, we actually own nothing. There's nothing that I can give to my kids when I'm gone. There's nothing I can sell to somebody else. Their franchise structure is completely different. They maintain ownership of the building, the equipment. In essence, we just sublease their location from them to run our business out of it by their recipes and guidelines and procedures and so forth. So there's no guarantees in it, because Chick-fil-A retains ultimate decision-making on where they're going to build a restaurant, when they're going to build a restaurant, and then who's going to operate it. So even whenever we came back home, even though Tammy's mom had operated the mall restaurant and then got the second location at Whispering Creek, there was no guarantee that we could come back here and run it. It was up to Chick-fil-A to decide that. And when we did come back, there was a guideline that you had to be in a location 2 years before eligible for multi-restaurant. Multi-restaurant is not as common as you might think in our chain. There's probably 10% of our chain is folks who have 2 restaurants. And I mean, gosh, we have 3,000 franchisees now, and I'm probably one of 12 that's been selected for a 3rd restaurant. So it's not something easy to attain, and we're very proud that we've done that and earned that right. but I had to be here 2 full years, so they had interim managers babysat the mall restaurant in essence for those 2 years until I was eligible to be selected for it, and then it was a rigorous selection process for that. But now when they brought the third restaurant here, again, there was no guarantee that it's going to be our restaurant. So we had a pretty much 10-month evaluation process where we had corporate folks coming in, different levels of leadership from Atlanta coming in, and they looked at everything from the situation, how it was in the marketplace. They looked at our historical performance from the past decade, which thankfully we're among the top quintile in performance on any metric you can throw out there. And they also looked at leadership capacity. So these folks sitting in the front row and a couple that are outside, it's those folks that made the opportunity happen. Because they're the ones that really do it day in and day out. And so their capacity to lead and to grow a 3-restaurant organization and to duplicate the results we've gotten in 2 restaurants into a 3rd restaurant was instrumental in getting that selection, and it all culminated in 4 of our top executives from ChickfilA, all the way up to executive vice president, one step below Kathy family, that flew in the ChickfilA corporate jet to little old Victoria, and we toured them around town and got to visit with them, and they got to visit the restaurants and talk to our leaders, and ultimately, it was decided that we would be able to get a 3rd restaurant in our enterprise.
And I know we are very fortunate and very blessed to have been given this opportunity with the 3rd location. But I think when we were asked when they were visiting, when we had the executives here, why are you doing what you're doing? I know we've all hoped and prayed for a 3rd restaurant for many, many years, but Victoria is very small, and Chick-fil-A grows at a very small, intentional rate. And so when it came time, when they said that we had the opportunity, we had been doing things, like David said, for a decade plus, had been doing things right, not because we anticipated a 3rd opportunity, but because it was the right thing to do. That's just how we run our business.
And as business owners too, the one thing that I always hear you guys say, not just in Fireside Chat right here, but all the time, is they never take credit for themselves. Even with giving to the community and everything they do, getting this new restaurant, they always give it back to the employees, to their team. And that's true great leadership. And I've noticed that since I've first met you guys, and your team is all amazing. I mean, they are on it.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't even know. I went up there one day, and it's after I first started at IC, and I pull in my car, and my window's down, I'm about to order, and they're like, Miss Winters, Mrs. Winters. And I turn, my kids are in the car, and they're bringing me this Valentine's Day box. I'm like, how did you know? How did they see me coming? Do they know? This is amazing. So the customer service, and you're all about experience.
Absolutely.
Elevated language. I mean, I use that elevated language example all the time to people when I'm consulting them. I'm like, it's not refill your drink, it's would you want a refresh? Not thank you, my pleasure. So there's so many things you can learn just by you guys and the community and how you do, the way that you guys both run your business with your team and how you treat them, and then also just the whole message behind Chick-fil-A. That's really something.
I guess our roles have evolved so much. Like David said, from day one, out of necessity, we ate, slept, drank at the Chick-fil-A and had our kids there. And I think our roles have evolved so much, and thankfully have got this amazing leadership team that just steps up and owns every part of the business. But it's been nice for me because we've got Marina, who is in charge of our brand growth and community relations, and she has just taken our business to new heights that I never would have imagined. And it's been so rewarding to kind of take a step back and be able to be more of a mentor for them and be, I guess, support and encouragement for those leaders. And I know yours is definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I can still bag some fries, don't get me wrong. But we've got 4 key executives that lead the business. Then we have another 20 plus members of our leadership team between both restaurants. We've got about 125 team members right now, and we're probably looking to be 200 plus to get this new restaurant opened up.
And you know, as a business owner, it is really hard to give up some of that control. It is, but that's what a good leader does is you hire people that you can entrust and that you know they can get the job done. And to see you doing that, that is great leadership that not a lot of people can do. So that's impressive that you're able to do that. And you know, the way you're marketing, I know that's your thing. It is amazing. I mean, ChickfilA everywhere, and I will tell you, they gave us a little swag bag, and my son had ChickfilA socks at Trinity. They had free dress day. He walked in his ChickfilA stuff and his socks, and the kids were like, "Oh, that's amazing." He's like, "Yeah, I know the owners." And they're like, "You know the owners?" It was like you would have thought, you know, a rock star. He knew a rock star or someone. But it's amazing, though. My point to the story is that you have such an impact on our community, and that's because you give back and you're involved. And it's not because you have to for your business. People love ChickfilA, right? But it's because that's who you guys are as people. And that is something I respect so much about you guys, is that you don't have to do it. You do it because that's just who you are. You know, when you said your heart's in ChickfilA, your hearts are also in the community. And that's really something to pinpoint and to tell all of you guys. It's something.
And I've heard speculation that ChickfilA corporately holds us accountable to a certain level of giving back to our community. ChickfilA holds us accountable to nothing. It's our business to run as we want, to engage the community as we want, to grow our team and develop our leadership as we want to. They do hold us accountable to certain, you know, cost controls and customer service standards and food safety standards. But other than that, it's our business to run as creatively or not as we want to.
Mythbuster right there, because you do hear that, and I'm like, no, that's actually not true. They do this because that's who they are and they want to. They don't have to do it. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So I'm curious, how would both of you define success?
Let me go first. Okay.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. I think mine is basically, you can measure success by the relationships that you've built. I am not a numbers person. I'm a results person, I guess. But I feel like the relationships and the characters that we've cultivated through our journey that's what matters to me for success.
And so I think that, you know, everybody's born with a certain amount of God-given talent. And then over their lifetime, they may acquire new skills or refine those talents or gain more knowledge and wisdom. So all those things combined make up a person's potential. And I just think it's somebody living up to their potential, being able to accomplish all that they're able to. But it's also, you know, working through adversity and overcoming these obstacles and failures. And you mentioned it earlier, it's the legacy you leave behind. It's what influence and impact outlives you that defines your success also.
And so, say the younger gentleman that was on stage, he came to ask you about tips to be successful. What tips could you give the people here on finding success?
I would say put yourself out there. Like, Seth, you got up on the stage, have never been to one of these events. You put yourself out there, very vulnerable, very honest, and I think that's what you have to do. Don't be afraid to fail. In fact, at one of the IC events this weekend, I think they said it's not failure, it's feedback. Put yourself out there. Don't be afraid. If this 13-year-old little girl had not gone up and introduced herself to Dave Shelley at ChickfilA, we may not ever be a part of ChickfilA. So,
you know, I definitely say chase your dreams. You know, if you have these big dreams that you want to reach, these goals you want to reach, pursue them with passion, with all you've got. But at the same time, don't be afraid to pivot or recognize other opportunities that arise. And you know, that was part of my story with the whole college thing, that I had to suddenly switch gears from what I wanted to do initially to what I wanted to do second to what I ended up doing third. But at the same time, the stick-to-itiveness of the chasing that dream of ChickfilA led to where we are also.
And you just talked about college, and it's interesting because that was my next question. If you both were graduating college today, where would you invest your time?
For me, again, a shy guy, whether you believe it or not. I really am. I would never have approached somebody when I got out of college, being a young, whatever it is, 22-year-old. Wouldn't have approached a professional person, somebody in a field that I admired, somebody that I considered successful. But in hindsight, I sure wish I had been able to approach somebody and to develop that relationship. Maybe it's an informal mentorship, but I think that's such valuable information to be able to learn about their wisdom and experiences from their life is just so valuable.
Ditto. But I'm going to throw this out there. I hope it's okay with you. I want to throw it out there to you younger people or other business people. If you want to hear some of the crazy ideas or some of our crazy stories or encouragement, we would love to be mentors. We've got a lot of younger team members that we work with, but anybody out here, please stop by our ChickfilA Resource Center downtown. We would be honored to be a mentor to some of you.
Take that and run with it. I'm telling you, from my advice, because they are amazing, compassionate people that really have a lot to teach you and can really help you grow in so many ways. Thank you for that. And then, so I'm curious, did either one of you have a mentor or mentors?
Wow.
I'm going to jump in and say my mom. Maybe for both of us. I'll let you answer, but I just, again, think her drive and her passion, her honest business ethics, care and love for the community and for others. I think that was definitely a mentor for me.
And I'd say the same thing. I mean, I worked with Elaine for 5 years, my 4 years of college and one more year beyond. And then once we became peers, I guess, if you will, and both of us were Chick-fil-A operators, I still leaned on her for, her wisdom and her experience. And like she said, I mean, she's a no-nonsense lady, but she's super compassionate, and she's community-minded and just relationship builder. And that's what we're about now more than anything, is relationships. And so she was definitely a mentor of mine, for sure.
Share how they told us about the third that we
were. So we had the top executives, like I said, that flew in, and these were what I assumed were the decision makers. So I figured that day they may reconvene the next day or on the flight home or whatever and make a decision. Well, I get a call from my consultant's supervisor, so whatever level leadership that is, and she wanted to have a Zoom call with me to discuss next steps. And I'm like, next steps? The decision makers were here. Tell me yes or no so I can go on with my life. And I know that sounds so bitter. But
it was a little stressful.
we had actually gone to Fredericksburg, and so it was the next morning, Friday morning, that she wanted to call, and all these people are on their spring break in Georgia. And so we did the Zoom connection, and she's there on the screen and kept losing connection. I kept losing her voice and losing her video, and I'm kind of getting frustrated. I'm already mad about it as it is. And so I go back inside the house. I'd gone outside anyway, and we're sitting there talking, and then all of a sudden I see John Bermudez, who's my consultant, my liaison to Chick-fil-A corporate, pops on the screen. And I'm like, okay, well, that's okay. And they're like, well, tell us about, what was good and what was bad about the experience of the executives there. And I'm talking about that. And then all of a sudden, their boss pops on the screen. And I was like, oh, hey, Skip. And kind of sitting there. And they said, we think we have one more guest going to join us, too. And the funny thing was, bless her heart, I love my mother-in-law, but she doesn't know how to use technology, really. And so all there was this big static E for Elaine on the bottom of the screen instead of her picture for the longest time. And then finally, when she does pop on the screen, Pawpaw, Cliff, Tammy's dad, comes walking through behind her with a cup of coffee, and thank God he had a shirt on. And anyway, so at that point, I start crying. I knew what was going on. I knew they were fixing to offer the restaurant to me. And when we tell this story to our kids about how this experience was with having them do the Zoom call, and then they got Elaine involved in it and made the offer to us, the only takeaway my kids got, instead of congratulations, it was, Guy knows how to Zoom?
Got all
No,
the
she
kids.
doesn't.
That was really special, though, to be able to have her there as such a surprise.
That's so special, too, that you guys both consider your mom your mentor and that she's been part of your journey.
Oh, yeah.
It really doesn't get better than that. And so I'm curious, what the best advice you've each ever gotten and why?
That means I'm going? Okay. I don't know if it's necessarily advice. Maybe it's advice on how we live our lives, and how to present ourselves and carry on our lives. But when David and I were in Atlanta, we went for the, final interview to be selected as a ChickfilA operator. Deanne Turner was our vice president of HR at the time. And she's going through all the business questions and all the things. And she said, I really have to ask, would I want my children working for you? Makes you think you got to live your life and run your business in a very, very intentional way.
Well, I will say that I'm not sure it was advice either. It was maybe considered encouragement, and it was probably unintentional encouragement. And it's from a man sitting on the front row right here. But whenever I left Lax, which I loved being there, part of that family, but Janie and Melvin had an exit interview with me in his office, and I remember down at the end of the building at 200 South Bend, Jordan, being in his office with them, and Melvin asking me, why do you want to leave this corporate job to go work in a chicken fast food restaurant? And Janie immediately came to my defense. Well, Melvin, it's his opportunity to run his own business. And Melvin said, I don't care how many restaurants he runs, it will never be enough for what he's capable of. And so that kind of inspired me to make sure I wanted to do things bigger and better than anybody, because he believed in me that I could do more. And so thank you, Melvin. I appreciate that. But that's been something that's really stuck with me.
You guys are tearing me up over here. That was a beautiful moment. I'm watching him tap his heart, and they're looking at each other. I mean,
It's been such a blessing to be able to spend more time with y'all lately, too. True blessing.
And so I'm curious, who is the most innovative person you both know?
I'm going first on this.
Oh, she's got it.
Truett Cathy, because I'm probably thinking he's going to say that, too. Truett Cathy, our founder, came from very humble beginnings, had a single mom and his family. He was trying to help his mom support his brothers and sisters. And he ran around his neighborhood with a little red wagon and a 6-pack of Cokes. He sold them individually, door to door, provided that fabulous service and really trying to accommodate his guests and his customers. But he made 5 whole cents off of each 6-pack of Coke. Reinvested it, bought more Cokes. Went on, so forth. Then him and his brothers actually started their own business, a Dwarf House, which we got to go visit this past couple of weeks. The Dwarf House, which is actually where he invented the recipe in the Chick-fil-A sandwich. But he came up with a faster way to cook it because he was trying to serve the Delta and Coca-Cola employees and trying to provide for them. But then he was also the first fast food restaurant in a mall. The mall did not want any fast food or any restaurant in a mall because it was stinky and it was smelly and but Truett knew that they needed to keep the customers in the mall. And just everything that he has done along the way is just so forward thinking, I feel like.
And Truett was absolutely a pioneer. But I also think that innovation, as we've talked about so many times, isn't about invention as much as it is making something even better. And so I'm going to talk about Dan Cathy, who's the second generation of the Cathy family. He was made our CEO in the 90s and just recently surrendered that post to his son Andrew. Third generation is now CEO, and Dan's still chairman of the board. But Dan was a bigger creative thinker, and he's the one that kind of perfected the service model we have that really took us beyond the fast food realm and put us more into the fast casual sit-down 5-star restaurant sometimes with our service. service model in place, but he called it second mile service. So from the book of Matthew in the Bible, it said if you're forced to go 1 mile with someone, go 2 miles. And it just shows about your sacrifice and your willingness to serve and going above somebody's expectations. So Dan dubbed it second mile service because it was about going above and beyond our customers' expectations. We do things that still no other fast food restaurants do, and not many even nicer service restaurants do for that matter. And it just built this culture. It changed our culture and really took us to a whole new realm in how we operate and the guest experience. And so I think he's pretty innovative.
Well, and what I took away a lot from that. And what it was is that you have a lot in common with, you started an ice cream store. He was selling Cokes, and that's entrepreneurship comes in many forms. Like you said, you can be innovative in different ways, or, something that you use every day. How could you create that and make it better? I started entrepreneurship selling toys on the school bus to people. I was like, I don't really want these anymore. So I was like, and that's, but they wanted them. So it was a way to do it. And a lot of times, my kids, they have a lemonade stand, and someone gave them $20, and every day they were like, I need a lemonade stand. I'm like, don't dilute the market. No. But entrepreneurship can start at a young age or at any age. But the people have really created a model, and you say culture. You guys have created a culture at ChickfilA. I mean, really, you have something different that had never been seen. And I do think that restaurants, whether fast food or 5-star, if I was opening a restaurant, I would be studying your model so hard, because every time I go there, the people that wait on me are smiling and they're happy. And it doesn't feel forced like you guys are back there like, hey, you better smile in their earpiece. It's because they're choosing and they actually enjoy what they're doing. And ChickfilA creates opportunities for their employees. There's growth there. And I think that's so important when we're talking about the mass exodus and people having a hard time keeping and retaining employees, that you guys reward and you have growth there. And that's something that you don't see a lot, especially in a fast food model, right? So.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because there's 2 ladies in the front row that I want to talk about a little bit. Especially during COVID, one thing that we learned from that is how we care for our team. They were fearful of coming to work. There was so much uncertainty in the world, and so we had to do things to make sure they were comfortable at work and felt safe at work, but just comfortable in the world at that time. And Stacy Kelly, who's our executive director of team experience, we firmly believe that our team's experience is just as, if not more important than our guest experience. And so we have 3 ladies that do nothing but serve our team. They do not wait on customers. They do not clean tables. They do not work in the restaurant at all. And they are just their cheerleaders, their supporters, their encouragers. We celebrate everything about our team. Birthdays, anniversaries, personal milestones, but also Amanda, we brought on board. Amy, in doing a survey with the team to discuss their needs, they brought up the need for tutoring, because they may not have been the best student to begin with, but then if they're working on top of that, it takes away their valuable time. So we brought on someone who thought we'd be part-time and helping tutor them in different school subjects, but that has evolved into everything education. So Amanda works full-time plus, and she serves them in helping them fill out FAFSA forms, helping them fill out college applications, scholarship applications. They've started our own organization within ChickfilA called Cows for Community, that our team members get to take on a community service project to gain community service hours to make their application look better for scholarships and colleges and so forth. And we don't do it because we have to, but we care about our team to a level that I really can't explain. And so we have people that are there just to serve them.
Well, and ChickfilA doesn't make you do this. Let's make this clear. You guys choose to do this.
Yeah. And ChickfilA actually have a phone call with our corporate office on Friday, because they want to discuss what we're doing, because it's pioneering and it's something new that ChickfilA really hasn't done or seen. And it was a simple survey to find out what needs were and take those needs seriously. Even our resource center, we were only supposed to have 3 executives come down to visit for the final interview, but a 4th one tagged along because they wanted to see what we're doing down here. Because if you haven't been to our resource center, it's really cool, but nobody in ChickfilA does that. There's offices inside the restaurants. They're not, the most spacious or conducive for creativity or anything, but we built a resource center that we wanted our team to come and use for their own personal needs. We wanted them to come there to do ChickfilA training. We wanted to have a classroom environment for them, but we wanted to be comfortable and welcoming for them. And we had recently, was it Megan that came and did her online driver's test at our office because she didn't have a device at home or internet connection, so she came there to do it. And anyway, that's exactly what I envisioned, was having this place that they can come and use as their own and feel comfortable doing it.
I mean, my daughter, every time we go by there, she's like, hey, can we stop there? They have the good drinks and snacks. And I'm like, oh, but it is a great work environment. And you're always doing things to create a great culture even better, even though it blows everything out of the water. And you're continuing to learn what the needs are of people that work for you and with you, and that's important. They don't just work for you, they work with you. Because when you said, well, you know, they're kind of, well, it's like a family. That's true. When you have a company, people try to divide it of, that's someone that works for me. I feel when you're doing a good job, you're a cohesive unit, that is your family. You take care of them and they'll take care of you. And you've created this environment that creates opportunity beyond just the service they do at ChickfilA. And that's the kind of job we all want, right? Is where we're working with people, but the people that we work for actually care about us beyond just us providing the services. They know the value of employees, because I think a lot of times that's forgotten. If you don't have great employees, then is your business really going to be great? If they're not happy, then they're projecting that onto others. So you guys have really created this new culture. Talk about innovation and being innovative. Right here, they're rewriting things that the Chick-fil-A is now looking at them saying, hey, what are you doing over there? You know, I know it's not the physicist stuff, but hey, you're innovative. Bet you never thought it'd be this way, but that's what's cool about life. It takes you down different roads you would never expect, and it leads you to this, where you're innovating, but in a different way. And look at all the lives that you're touching. It's not just your employees. I guarantee pretty much everyone in this community at some point or another has been affected by you guys in a positive way. So thank you for that.
So thank you.
It's our pleasure.
I do want to extend one more invitation to please stop by our resource center. Look for the cows on the roof. And you can kind of see some of the fun things that we're doing and the different areas. Our team came up with the names of the hub, and that's kind of our meeting place where people can come in and use the iPads and study, or our launch pad is our orientation. That's where it starts. But the launch pad is to launch their Chick-fil-A career or launch wherever their dreams are going to take them. We have the vault, which is the really cool marketing storage, which is fabulous. But there's so many things, and there's one special plaque on the wall.
So we have, again, each Chick-fil-A is operated their own way, and so we come up with our own purpose or mission statement. And so at Chick-fil-A Victoria, you know, we care about others. We serve our team, we serve our guests, we serve our community because relationships matter to us, and remarkable experiences are our priority. We had that cut into a giant sheet of aluminum, and it sits in a very prominent location in our office just outside the launch pad. So whenever our team is there for orientation, we can look out there and talk about that statement and ask them questions about it and what they get from it, what they see, what they don't see. We don't talk about chicken in our mission statement. We don't talk about profits. We talk about people, and that's what we're really about. And in fact, we don't even look outside the window of the launch pad. We walk out there now and talk about our mission statement. And I encourage them, because I do it every time I walk by it when I'm in the office. I touch it to remind myself why I'm in business. And I encourage them to do the same thing during orientation. And the other day, so at our first 90 days for a team member, they come in and do their 90-day review with Amy. And we have a big thank you for being a part of our story wall at the back of the office. And they get to sign it as officially a member of the team at 90 days. And the other day, Freddie, is that his name? Ricky, thank you, sorry. I'm terrible with names. But Ricky was there, and I'm following him back to go cheer him on as he signs his name, as was everybody else in the office, but I'm at the back of the pack. And I'm watching him walk down the hall, and he reaches out and touches the purpose statement. And I let him do his thing, and then I said, why did you do that? And he said, because you told me you do that, and it matters to you, and so it matters to me. And that was just one of those, I'm doing it right moments.
And I've seen him do it. He touches it every time, and he showed it to me, and I thought, wow. It's not just something they say. Chick-fil-A corporate doesn't make them do this. This is truly who they are as people. And that's really rare. It's really rare, and it's really beautiful. And so tell me about the bookshelf in the office. Because I noticed that you guys may have something.
Yes, we have got a vast library in the Resource Center, but it is for the community or our team to get books on either personal development or leadership, business. There's religious books, there's school books, there's all kinds of stuff there. But we also have in the very back of the room, before you leave, please help yourself, and we encourage you to share with others when you're done, but there are several books in the back. Let's see, we've got...
Truett has authored or co-authored 4 different books, and one of them, his original one, is out of print, but we have How'd You Do It, Truett? It's Easier to Build Boys Than Men, and Truett was a Sunday school teacher of 13-year-old boys for 50 plus years, and he firmly believed it's easier to pour into a young person to help guide them along their way than it is to correct them sometime later in life and fix what was wrong. And the other one is Eat More Chicken, Inspire More People. And as a leadership team, 25 of us, we go through a book a quarter that we read together and discuss together in a group me chat. And we did all of Truett's books last year, and we've got a few more we're doing this year, different books. But please, we brought them. Help yourselves. Take whichever ones you like and pass them along, pay them forward, share them with somebody else eventually.
They even come as a featured speakers, and they're giving you something. I mean, it's like it's amazing. So on the note of the books, what are 3 books that you both would recommend?
Sure.
I'm not an avid reader. I'm really not. My attention span isn't long enough, I guess, to sit and read. So I do appreciate we've moved near Rockport, and we make a 45-minute commute every day each direction. And so that's become a valuable time for me to do podcasts or TED Talks or audiobooks. Yeah, I love it. I've listened to The Old Man and the Sea narrated by Donald Sutherland more times than I care to admit, but it's just good. Yeah, I'm big on poetic stuff. I mean, I literally listen to Eric Braw read Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven to put myself to sleep every night. But of course, Truett's books, but I'm partial to those because they have a lot of meaning to me. I will give Kim Parsley, where's she at? I'll give her credit for steering me toward a book by Jeff Henderson, a former Chick-fil-A leader at our corporate office, that he wrote a book called Know What You're For. And it's about defining, what you really stand for in business. I guess it translates to in life too, but it talks about if you're for something, how do you really transition your business to serving in that way? And in his perspective in the book is talking about if we're for our customers, really transitioning the way we market, not talking about ourselves, talking about our customers. And it was just a really eye-opening book. I'm big on parable style books that promote organizational change and organizational benefit, and so a couple of Ken Blanchard books are Gung Ho and Whale Done, and there's another one by London called Fish that we're reading as a group right now. Those are my style of book.
I'm a little high-strung to sit and read. Yeah. Anyway, same thing though. I do listen to the audiobooks and so forth. David and I read a lot to each other. We try to guard that time together, whether it's over coffee in the morning or watching sunset together in Rockport.
4 was one of those. I read the book myself, and then went back and reread it to Tammy over coffee over a few days.
Absolutely, and it's nice because we can share our insights and all with that as well. Bob Goff is one of my favorites just because he's just fun and so personable. And Love Does is probably my favorite book. I like all the business books as well, but it's just his perspective of loving on people and caring for people. And that's probably my favorite.
Not sure if you're hearing a common thread of all this for and people and care and experiences and relationships, but I'm hearing it anyway.
I heard it, and I also really like how you guys read to each other over coffee. And a lot of what I'm hearing is that you guys make that time for yourself and you carve out your time. And I think as a couple, you can never stop dating. I think that's so important. No matter how busy you are, when you go through those hard moments, the common theme that I see here is that you turn to each other. During the hard times, instead of turning away, you've turned to each other and worked through it. And you've also shared things together, like coffee and reading a book or Fredericksburg. All the things that you guys do, you still take time for each other. And do you think that's part of what keeps you guys good working together and creating that success?
Yeah, it's a struggle sometimes because, like we said, Chick-fil-A really never leaves us. So, we may be out to dinner somewhere, but we're evaluating the service of the restaurant or the quality of the food or the appearance of the food and equating it back to Chick-fil-A. And I know I've got to be better about it, but we've got really open communication with our leadership team. But I will text them at 9:30 at night because something pops in my head and I don't want to miss the opportunity to text them. And Tammy's told me I need to write things down and keep things in business hours or whatever. So sorry I disturbed you guys, but anyway.
Growing up in the restaurant industry since I was 7, and then even my grandmother had a restaurant too, so basically my whole life, I do that too. I go to a restaurant and I'm immediately like, okay, and it's just something ingrained in you when you've been in that business, even though my family hasn't been in that business for quite some time, so I understand.
So when I came into the fold...
That's what I was fixing to say.
Do you want to tell it?
When David and I first started dating, we'd go out to eat dinner with my parents, and between my brother, mom, and dad and I, same thing. We would evaluate everything. And you don't intentionally do it, it just happens. But David said, oh my goodness, I can't stand to go eat with y'all. You're so nitpicky on everything. Well, then David started working at ChickfilA. And he's worse than any of us. It's just your expectations. It's how you would want to be treated and served. And I think that's just our expectations of how we want to be treated ourselves.
It's so true, and I'm sure Bryce is back there laughing at this. And my brother Donovan, when he first got, and we would all go out to eat with my dad and mom, it's one of those things. We were all in the restaurant industry, and so then, but now he's also in it. He's in it with me. I'm like, did you notice that? Is that the service if they did this? And should we give them tips? And I'm like, no. And he used to wouldn't send something back, and now he'd be like, no, we'll just eat it. I'm like, no, you paid for that, So it's a whole thing. Hard. So we understand the boat that's in, but also it's great to learn from other people's restaurants and things you take away. And I love that you are always growing because growth mindset is really important. And just you being at the level that both of you are, but you're still implementing and then messaging them because you care to make it the best. And you're not just settling. You continue to grow, you continue to inspire your team, and you continue to give back selflessly. And not because you have to, or the myth has been busted, guys, because the corporate tells them to. It's because that's who they are. And so my last question before we go into letting you guys ask them questions is, what do you think Victoria needs to keep them continuously growing and becoming vibrant? Because as we both know, it has started to really boom, and the spark is there. What do you think is going to continue to keep it going and start that fire into a flame?
So, sure, I will sing the Innovation Collective's praises. I mean, Tammy and I chose to invest in University of Houston, through University of Houston, to bring the IC here because we saw the networking they do, the series of events they do, the system they have in place to not only help people grow as leaders, as innovators, but also the network part where it brings people who may have this great idea or invention, networking with people who might have connections to get them resources or information or tools to help get that thing out of their head and into reality and into the marketplace potentially, and how amazing it would be if in our little hometown we can have this process that brings forward all this innovation right here in Victoria, keeps it right here in Victoria, keeps those innovators right here in Victoria, provides a pathway for college students when they're coming out and have all these neat and creative ideas. So I just see the Innovation Collective as something that was an opportunity for Tammy and I to better the long-term for our community and just in some way to leave a small fingerprint on our hometown after we're gone.
And I think it's fabulous. The spark is there. It is definitely there. But again, I think it's our community coming together. I think it's helped spark that. But I think it's our community just really wanting to grow together.
And I agree, and thank you guys for believing and investing in Innovation Collective. And you guys are both innovative, as I point out, in everything that you do, and so community-minded, which is really important because that is also, I couldn't agree more. We can build things, we can make things, but what's really going to continue to make our city successful is community, and each and every one of you. You all play such an important role. I see you, I hear you, I value each and every one of you because each of you brings something really special and brings something to the table. You may not realize what it is yet, but come talk to me and I'll let you know. I'll bring it out of you if you don't know what it is. And so, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate everything you do, everything both of you are, and so thankful to have you here in our community. We're truly blessed and lucky. Okay, now for the question time. Who has a question? All right. If you could please say
Woodrow,
your
make
name.
it an easy one. Lob me a softball, Woodrow.
Please introduce yourself and what's your question?
Hi, I'm Woodrow Wilson Wagner, and it's going to be a very easy one. I think one of the things the community appreciates about the two of you so much is the fact that you're not just trying to build a business, an empire, profits, but you really have an authentic desire to give something back, to make everybody else's kind of stock rise or ships rise or whatever else. I'm wondering, was there a specific experience, a specific individual, a specific circumstance that planted that seed in you at some point to want to be those stewards now and to come back to Victoria, right? And to do that. If you could speak to that, I'd appreciate it.
I think it's ChickfilA. I think it's the initial draw to ChickfilA. I think that they planted that in me when I was very young. Like I said, I was 13 years old, went and introduced myself at the mall to Dave Shelley, who was the owner, and he offered me a job on the spot. Actually sampling ChickfilA to people who did not know what ChickfilA was back then. Craziness. Back
You
in
solved that
1985.
problem. We all know what it is,
Yeah.
right?
But I think because it starts at the top, David and I have sat down at dinner with Truett, and it's like us sitting down together. I think
And this was a multi-billionaire.
Yes.
But Truett always said, I'm not in the chicken business. I'm in the people business. I just happen to serve chicken. And so I think that was something that really resonated with Tammy and I, and probably with every ChickfilA operator across the country, to want to carry that torch that he started.
Anyone else have a question?
My name's Steve Ruby. I have 3 questions real quick. Where is the location of the new place? And then the second one is the innovation and efficiency in the drive-through. Was that y'all, or was that something brought in from somewhere else? And the third is, can you help Whataburger with theirs?
What was the last one? Whataburger with theirs. We're going to be right across from Whataburger.
So the new location is 3 blocks off of Navarro across from Zarski's. It's that entire city block that used to be Goad Motors back in the day. But ChickfilA will come in and demo all of that, and we'll have a beautiful 5,300 square foot building, about 1,000 square foot bigger than we have now. It'll be 80 parking places, double what we have now. It'll be
2 full acres almost.
Yeah, it'll be a double drive-through lane that'll go all the way around. And so instead of a drive-through window to serve our guests, we'll have a drive-through door that opens up that we can walk out to reach our second lane. And we'll actually have that, we'll have an update done at both restaurants over the course of the next year. That'll give it all new finishes and appearance, that they'll all three look alike. But we'll get that drive-through retrofit at the existing restaurant as well, where we can walk outside and greet our guests personally instead of through a window like that. As far as the innovation of drive-through, Tammy and I actually were part of that innovation because we had taken part in a grand opening in New Mexico, and it was a community that had a Chick-fil-A there at one time, but it had gone away, and so it was a community that was desperate for Chick-fil-A. So when it opened, they were crazy busy, and Tammy and I were part of the marketing team, and we were asked to help with the drive-through. And so what we started doing was we went upstream in the cars that were waiting in the queue, and we would take their order and we would write it down on paper in our Chick-fil-A jargon so one of our team members could understand it. And when they got to the speaker, they would hand it to that team member, who then would call it in the Chick-fil-A jargon into the restaurant and make it just a little bit faster. Well, then that slowly evolved into handheld two-way radios. Then Chick-fil-A did attempt a mobile cash register thing that worked out okay, but then it evolved into the iPad. And so that's a somewhat common practice across the chain, but it was fun to be a part of that thing that was driven from necessity to help us get to where we are. We're one of the highest volume Chick-fil-A's in the area and the country, and we're grateful for that. We're not one of the highest volume drive-through, though, and I think because our check average is significantly higher. There's so many places that have just the business commuters that are coming through and buying their one combo meal. We're serving families and groups of people in a car. And I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, so there's some Chick-fil-A's that have been innovative in how they get their cars through the process, and they're serving 200 plus cars in an hour. I mean, I think our peak was what, Amy, 165 or something like that? 163. Okay, so that was our peak drive-through, but there's ones that are doing tremendous volume, almost unfathomable volume of number of cars through there in an hour.
It's kind of crazy. I can't tell you how many times you've gotten on the roof and watched the drive-through pattern to see where they're going, how we can do it quicker, how we can do it faster. But it's so nice, too, because Chick-fil-A also has consultants that work for they call it our support center. That's our home office. But in every avenue that we may need to come in and help us, they're there to assist us and be in business with us.
Another question?
Hey, David. Hey, Tammy.
Hi, Donovan.
So you're going to have 200 employees, and out of all that, what have you learned about having or building great teams? It seems like you have a corporate team. Obviously, that's Chick-fil-A corporate, but locally, y'all seem to have the, pun intended, magic sauce for building those teams. So, as people start up here, as people have existing businesses, what do you think are just like maybe 3 key things you can focus on to build great teams?
Well, again, relationships is a critical part of what we do. We truly believe we are the Chick-fil-A Victoria family, and that's what we call it. And so we're all family members together. I think, the level of care we provide them and being involved in whatever their future may be, we want to guide them, provide them the best tools and resources to be the best whatever they're going to be, doctor, lawyer, educator, medical professional, whatever it is. We want to provide and pour into them right now so that they can be the best, even if they're leaving Chick-fil-A.
I think culture is something definitely that a business owner needs to have, that culture and instill that in their team. When we do orientation, all of our leaders are there. David and I are there from the very beginning. We meet the brand new team member before they ever step foot into the restaurant, and we instill that culture in them from the very beginning. And I think, and you've got to walk the walk and not just talk the talk, too, on that.
And I just got to say that this is amazing because I literally have a cow in the audience. I mean, that has never happened before.
Marketing.
Yes, no, it's on there. Hey. So we have time for one last question. Yes, he's going to walk around to the mic. Sorry, we have time for a couple, so that's okay. We can do it.
So I'm Kate Garcia. I'm Main Street Manager. And so I kind of want to make a clarification question. So you mentioned that in Chick-fil-A's that the offices were kind of small and you makeshift and do what you can with what you got in the space. But so you made an investment in downtown, which is an investment in the community. And I kind of wanted to clarify, is that a personal investment, or did you have to get corporate's approval for that investment? Because I think obviously I think it's wonderful. But
So that was a completely personal investment. That is not funded by Chick-fil-A at all. That's
And Kate is doing an amazing job with Main Street. Thank you, Kate, for all you do for downtown.
And like Tammy said, we did it because we knew it was the right thing to do for our team. We knew it was the right thing to do for Victoria. We didn't do it in anticipation of a third restaurant because we had no idea. Again, that was all in Chick-fil-A's timing. We never expected another restaurant to come here. But anyway.
So you built a space for the team members and also community members to come in. You built this for them to have a space to go, a space to learn, and a space to grow and follow their dreams and have all of this accessibility to make them more comfortable out of your own personal money.
And there's things that we take for granted. We have several team members that do not have internet at home, or they may have younger siblings running around. They're trying to take a test for a final, and they need a place to be.
But the fact you guys even think about that, I mean, a lot of employers don't. That's really, really wonderful in so many ways. And another question, go ahead, Terry.
Terry Moten. So a question that hits two ends of a spectrum. As parents, what piece of advice would you share for parents who have young children at home on how they can raise them and to really kind of explore themselves? And specifically for me, what piece of advice would you have for parents who has a child getting their first and only, but getting ready to transition out of the nest and go to college? What makes that easier? How you can help them?
I'll let you answer the younger one if you want, but because we're in that same transition. Our son will be 25. He is taking the extended path at UHV. Our daughter graduated in 3 years. Totally opposite. There is no right path, I don't think, for anybody. We talked about that this weekend as well. I struggle because I think we both do. Our children think that we have this perfect life and everything is great. And even though we tell them, hey, remember when you used to live in the playground at Chick-fil-A? In their mind, they just think that that's normal. They think that, everything is just fantastic. But as a parent, when your child thinks that, oh my gosh, I'm 25 years old, I should be married and having babies like you and dad did and have this perfect life. And as a parent, I think we want to tell them what to do, how to do it, when to do it. I have read and have listened and am rereading. It's a book by Jim Burns. It's I think it's Adulting. Oh, Kim, help me here. Basically, it is parenting your adult children, and it is keeping your mouth shut and the welcome mat open. And I think that's huge. We just got to love them. That's all there is to it. They are their own individuals, and we've got to love them.
And I think as kids, small kids, it was important for us that we knew how valuable culture was. And so we had our own family mission statement, which was to be a foundation of love, respect, responsibility, and character for our family now, but also for endless generations. And, we didn't drill that into our kids, but I think we served as role models for that with our kids, maybe in unspoken ways. But that was important to have them understand that early, what our family purpose and mission was.
And then you had a question?
Is it on? What's your favorite Chick-fil-A sauce?
Do
What's
what?
what?
What's your favorite Chick-fil-A sauce?
Chick-fil-A sauce. That's mine.
So when Chick-fil-A sauce was introduced, we were in San Antonio, and it was actually a Chick-fil-A owner-operator that had concocted his recipe of different things that he threw together, some mustard, some barbecue sauce, and created this sauce that he was selling in jars. And when Chick-fil-A corporate came to his restaurant, they're like, you can't do that. but we can. So they took his sauce and they named it
innovation.
Yeah, they named it Smoky Mustard. And when they introduced that, they took away my favorite sauce, the honey mustard, because they didn't want 2 mustard sauces in their offering. And it became so popular, and they also had an outcry from people like me that they named it ChickfilA sauce. And so now it's our signature sauce and our most popular by far. But they also brought honey mustard back, much to my delight, and I'm still glad for that.
So
And our
you.
favorite menu items is still the original Chick-fil-A sandwich.
It's so good. I get extra pickles on mine. I
do
love
too.
it. Thank you for bringing back the honey mustard. Yeah. It's nice when you have a little pull and a little influence with this.
Haley, where you at, Haley? Honey mustard. All right.
And one more question.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
No. For all the ice cream lovers in this room, can you promise you'll never let corporate change the recipe on that vanilla ice cream?
I'm pretty sure that will never change. So I will say that Truett perfected his ice cream recipe that he called Ice Dream, and that's still what it's called today. But back in the day when Tammy and I were team members in the mall, we made the ice cream from scratch. We put in the vanilla, the sweetened condensed milk, the evaporated milk, the sugar, all the things to make the ice cream. Now we have a manufacturing company that produces it for us and sends it out in vacuum seal bags. But that's probably one of those almost as guarded secret as our season coder that I don't think will ever change.
And thank you so much. I took away so much, as each of you I'm sure did tonight as well. And I cannot stress enough how thankful, not only me, but I'm sure all of you as well, and other people who didn't come to the Fireside Chat tonight, are that you're in our community and that you really strive for the saying, I always say, giving is living. And that's what you guys, you embody that, and it's not a show. It's really, truly who both of you are. It's not corporate telling you to do it. It's that you care about people, and people are your business, but they're also what mean everything to you. So if we could give them a big round of applause. Thank you so much.
Marina San Miguel, would you join us on the stage, please? Marina is going to conduct some Chick-fil-A trivia to give away these awesome gift baskets she created, but she's much better at that than I am, so. Marina is our executive director of brand growth, by the way.
She's been with us for 8 fabulous years.
Clearly not. So we do have some lovely baskets up here, or buckets. So the first trivia question will be, what year was the Chick-fil-A Eat More Chicken cow introduced? Oh, we got one back there?
1982.
Nope, not 82. 94, no, we're getting warmer. 97, so close.
98.
Who said it? 98, right? Yeah, 98.
Go boy.
That was also the year.
Chick-fil-A socks. He loves Chick-fil-A. Wait till he tells his buddies at school about this tomorrow. Oh, man.
That was also the year that David became operator. Yeah.
So if y'all ever come to my office, my beautiful bride was smart enough that when Chick-fil-A introduced the cow calendar back in 1998, she saved one copy every year of the calendar just for nostalgia, I guess. And we have every copy of every calendar except for the year we came home, 2009. The theme was bovines in blue, so it was police-themed cows. And somehow in the transition from San Antonio to Victoria, we did not have that calendar. But Tammy called our corporate office, our marketing department, and said, hey, we're missing one calendar. Can I get a copy? They said, we don't keep these calendars. We don't have any of them anywhere. And they said, but wait a second. The other day I was in a closet somewhere, and I saw a calendar on a cart. Let me go back and look. Well, it was that calendar, the one we needed. So we have the complete 20-year collection plus the one commemorative calendar they did the next year. So what was the question I was going to ask?
Oh, no, let's give this to Seth for stepping out of his box and getting up here.
Oh, yeah, by all means. So Seth, come up here and get this. I want to congratulate you for stepping out of your box and coming out here and doing this.
Woo, way to go.
Very well done.
once again, just a big thank you for all of you and being here, and also for you guys doing the Fireside Chat. I have been waiting for this moment because I adore them and think they're awesome and appreciate everything they do. And did you want to say anything before we go? Pictures with the cow and get your books. Thank you so much.